Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another week of NFL football previewing and predicting. This is a special episode. We're here with a special guest today. He's a lifelong Bills fan and self-proclaimed social media influencer. My dad, Mark Touris.
How you doing, everybody?
So, we'll just go ahead and get right into it, and we'll start with the Bills this time. They're feeling pretty good, sitting at 4-1, coming out of their bye week, and feeling even better that they got the Miami Dolphins coming into town. And fun fact, I'm going to be at this game with my girlfriend for our 1-year anniversary. Love you, babe.
Well, that's a heck of a way to spend your 1-year anniversary, Matthew.
Hey, she's a fan. She likes football.
There may not be a 2-year anniversary.
She likes football. Anyways, so if you watch my video, if you've watched any of my past videos, you've heard me say a lot on this channel that this is a winnable game for the Bills. And in the interest of being fair and unbiased, I always try to make a case for the opponent to have a chance to win the game. However, I find it exceedingly difficult in this case to make any kind of case for the Dolphins to have a chance to win this game. I mean, you look at this roster, they're completely lacking from top to bottom in any kind of high-end talent. What do you think of this matchup?
Well, as you know, I think what the Dolphins are a disgrace to football, and what they're doing, the NFL should be embarrassed by what they're doing. I mean, I know that the idea is to tank and become a better team that way, but one thing makes me proud to be a Bills fan right now is that they have managed to build what looks like a competitive team that can contend for the playoffs or more without having to dive into the tank like some teams like Miami and Cleveland have done. So I really hope that the Bills hammer them, and that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and I went on a very long tirade in my first prediction video back in week 2 about what the Dolphins were doing, and I agree 100%. Just to get into some stats here and give the Dolphins a fair breakdown. Their defense is horrendous. They're last in the league or next to last in the league in just about every category. Their run defense is the worst run defense in the league by a mile, and Buffalo's getting Devin Singletary back for this game, which will not make life any easier for them.
Looks like the Bills are going to be pretty healthy. Mitch Morse will be back. I think as of today, the only guy not practicing is Milano.
Yeah,
and
he was actually limited in practice today. Well, I just found out.
Well, that's good to know. I hope that he plays. But honestly, they should be able to beat Miami and stop that offense with Dick Butkus playing linebacker. And I don't mean Dick Butkus 40 years ago. I mean Dick Butkus today.
News of the day, though, as of recording this, is Ryan Fitzpatrick is getting the start at quarterback for the Dolphins. Bills fans are more than familiar with him. I personally don't think it matters that much, but I've been seeing a lot on the social medias that some people actually are a little concerned about him and what he brings to the Dolphins. I personally don't think he has the weapons around him to really do that much damage, but some people actually think that he can make this game a game. What do you think?
I don't believe that that's true. I think in the first place, his better days are behind him, I think. And like you said, the talent level at Miami is really quite terrible. I think that the Bills defense will be able to shut them down completely. I think Miami's going to have trouble scoring more than a couple field goals in this game.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters whether Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen or John Rosenkrantz is playing quarterback for them. I think this is an opportunity for the Bills offense to get healthy.
Right.
I mean, one of the drawbacks of the 4-1 start has been their inability to put the ball in the end zone. They are able to move the ball.
Right, yeah.
And I think Singletary even adds to that, but they're not able to finish off drives. They can't score touchdowns. And they're going to need to do that. There's a big difference between them playing the way they are now and playing the way they are playing now in December and January. If they're going to win games late in the season, they need to find more ways to score points.
Yeah, and I think this will be a good test for this Bills offense, not because I think Miami's going to present any kind of a problem for them on defense, because like we said, their defense is just not good, but you know, it'll be a good test for the Bills to see to see if they can put points on the board and score against a completely aimless and helpless Dolphins defense. And I think this should be. I think these next 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, because we play Miami again in a month after this. It'll be interesting to see what steps this Bills defense or this Bills offense can take. They're going to have Singletary back healthy. I think Duke Williams is going to get an increased body of work in the next couple weeks, and we'll see if any of that can help them get into the end zone. Their offense, on paper, isn't really that bad. I mean, in total yards, they're 12th in the league, I think, which is better than I think most people would give them credit for.
But they are in the lower third in points scored.
Right,
and
yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I was reading a statistic that said that in the average points being scored in an NFL game per team this year is 23.9. And the Bills, in the 5 games that the Bills have played, they've only surpassed that total once, and they have not given up that amount. So they're playing below the curve for sure.
Yeah.
Now that's a credit to their defense, but it also means that they're going to have to find a way to score more points.
That is true. Buffalo is built to win low-scoring games, though. Credit to that defense and credit to this coaching staff. They've been in dogfights this season, and a lot of Buffalo's detractors say that they've won close games that they should have been winning by more. But I don't think Buffalo is necessarily a team that's built to blow teams out by 30 or 40 points. They're a team that's built to win those low-scoring, close games at the end, and they've done that, and they've shown that they can do that.
That they have shown that, and that's to their credit. However, when the rubber meets the road and they get down to the nitty-gritty and the season is on the line come December and January, having a great defense is a good thing, but small things can mess that up. And a pass interference penalty at an inopportune time, somebody slipping and falling, somebody just pops a long run, that can be a problem. And to answer that against good teams, you need to make plays, and you need to make plays mostly in the passing game. The Bills have yet to show that they can do that. I think The capability is there, but they need to show it a little bit more. And Miami's a good chance. You're right. They should be able to roll up and down the field on those guys. It's just going to be a question of whether they can put the ball in the end zone.
Whether they score 40 or 50 points, or whether they're just able to score 20 points like they've been doing, I don't see how Miami wins this game. I'm going with the Bills.
I'm also going with the Bills. I don't see how Miami wins this game, or, like you said, any other one. But as Matthew has heard me say many times, if the Bills are the team that they think they are, they will win this game quite easily. I don't see them scoring a bushel load of points. I don't see Miami scoring more than a couple field goals. I see the Bills winning, and I'll say probably by a score of 24-6.
So we got some more games that we could talk about. We could talk about a couple more games if you want.
Nope, I think I'm going to go make some meatloaf.
Okay, I like meatloaf. All right, that was my dad. I hope you enjoyed his input on the Buffalo Bills. We're going to move on with the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, so we're back with the rest of the NFL Sunday games. Thanks again to my father for being on. That was fun. That was a fun conversation that we had. We had a good little back and forth conversation, and he had some great insights to offer onto the game as well. So thanks, Dad, for being in this video. I really appreciate it. So we're gonna go through the rest of these, try to get through them quickly because my camera battery's about to die soon, I think. So I'm gonna try to get these done as quickly as possible. But the Sunday games kick off with the Oakland Raiders coming off their bye week and heading into Lambeau Field to take on the Packers, who are coming off a short week after their Monday night tilt with the Lions. And the Packers are sitting pretty at 5-1, and they have now swept their divisional opponents in head-to-head matchups. And in terms of making the playoffs, that helps them a lot. The Raiders, on the other hand, though, are coming off a win over one of Green Bay's divisional rivals, the Chicago Bears, and the Indianapolis Colts, going into their bye week. That's back-to-back wins against teams that I don't think they were expected to beat. And if the season ended today, the Raiders would be in the playoffs. So it begs the question, are the Raiders legit? Can they actually make it into the playoffs? My answer is probably not. I feel like they still have too many holes on their roster. I'm still not sold on the passing attack that they have, and their defense has been pretty inconsistent this season. But with the AFC being as weak as it is, and with the wins that they have, I certainly wouldn't count them out either. And in a conference where it looks like 9 wins is going to get you into that second wild card spot, the Raiders certainly do have a chance. Packers have some concerns with their roster as well. Their receiving core is extremely banged up. Devontae Adams is still a question mark with his turf toe injury. Geronimo Allison left the Monday night game with a concussion. It's looking like he's going to be missing this game against Oakland. The Raiders have a strong ground game. The Packers also have a strong ground game. I think I like the Green Bay Packers defense a little bit more than the Raiders, so I'm going to go with them to win this game and really take a stranglehold on that division. Next up, we have another NFC conference matchup. The Rams are taking on the Falcons. And this is a good opportunity for a bounce-back game for Jared Goff and this Rams offense that has been struggling mightily to put points on the board this season. They're up against an Atlanta defense that has been struggling mightily to keep points off of the board this season. So it's looking good for the Rams right off the bat. But man, Jared Goff did not have a good game last week. He looked as bad as he did when Jeff Fisher was head coach against San Francisco. And this is a big game for the Rams. They cannot lose this game. They're 3 games back of the division lead behind the 49ers, and the Seahawks are in front of them too. And they're third in that division right now. And if they fall any farther behind, they're in trouble. They're in danger of not making the playoffs, and that would be a catastrophic failure for a team that just a season ago went to the Super Bowl. For the Falcons, they're just dead in the water. They're 1-4. There's no fight in this team whatsoever. The talent is there. Atlanta's talent is there. You look at their roster, they have a ton of talent. They're not like the Dolphins, who are absolutely lacking in any high-end skill. The talent is there for this team, which is why it's so perplexing as to why they're playing off to such a bad start. And Dan Quinn could be on the hot seat this season if things keep trending this way. I'm going to pick the Rams in this game just because I think this would be such a disastrous loss for them that they're going to come out desperate and scrappy. And I don't really see the Falcons having an answer for that, so I'm going to say they win this game. 49ers is next, speaking of which. They're taking on the Redskins in our nation's capital. I don't really know what to say about this matchup. It should be an easy win for the 49ers. The Redskins, they got their free win last week against the Dolphins, and they almost blew that game. So the Redskins, they have their one win of the season, but they are still an absolute tire fire of an organization right now. I am going to pick them to win this game, and I'm going to pick them to win easily. Next up, we have the Texans taking on the Colts. This is a big AFC South divisional matchup. Both the teams who have defeated the Kansas City Chiefs are playing each other, and it's a big game with serious playoff implications. I like the Colts. I really do. I want to see them do well this season. I like their story with Andrew Luck, and I love their run game. Their run game has been fantastic to start this season. But I still have difficulty reading this team. They played a perfect game against the Chiefs on defense, and that's how they were able to win that game. Is that going to become the norm for this team, or is that just an anomaly? That is the thing. I have faith in Frank Reich as a coach. I think he's been a criminally underrated head coach in his brief tenure there in Indianapolis, but I think the Texans are more explosive on offense than the Colts are. Houston just has way more weapons than the Colts do. I want to believe in the Colts, I really do, but I think the Texans are going to win this game. Next up, we have another divisional showdown in the NFC North with the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. Now, I'll just address this from the outset. The Lions got absolutely screwed last week. Those were awful, awful penalties that were called. that were called for Green Bay, and it cost them the game. But that being said, the Lions have fallen to the bottom of the division. They're 2-2-1, and the Vikings are a game back of Green Bay for the divisional race. Now, this is a good opportunity for the Vikings to put the Lions on the outside looking in for that divisional race. Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota receivers had a great game last week against Philly. All seems well in Minnesota, but the consistency is still not there. I need to see him do it in big games against good teams in big situations, and I don't feel like we've seen that yet. So I'm not entirely on board with the Vikings just yet, but I do think they will win this game. But I think it will be close, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how this game plays out. Next up, the Jaguars are taking on the Bengals. The Bengals are dead in the water at this point. They're still winless. And if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm circling this game later on in the season as our last chance to get a win this season. The Jaguars, back-to-back losses, not looking very good. Gardner Minshew, I think, took a step back these last couple weeks. Couldn't score a touchdown last week against the Saints. Didn't look very good. Now, to make matters worse, Jalen Ramsey's no longer on the team. But maybe that's a blessing for them because he's been a major distraction up to this point. But it does take away a very talented player on that side of the ball. So do with that what you will. Regardless, the Bengals are an absolute nothing of a team right now. They're bad. They're terrible. They're not doing anything against these Jaguars. And if the Jaguars lost this game, it would be a disgrace. So I'm going to pick the Jaguars here, mostly by default. The Bengals are not good. Next up, we have the Cardinals versus the Giants. The Cardinals have won back-to-back games. And last week, they looked really good doing it. I mean, they let Atlanta back into that game a little bit, and they were an extra point away from going to overtime in that game. But I've vouched for this team since the beginning, even when they were losing. I like Kyler Murray. He had a great game last week. I like the receiving weapons that he has to work with Fitzgerald and Kirk. And David Johnson has been a very good option on the ground. All they need is an O-line that can protect the quarterback so Kyler Murray isn't scrambling for his life on every play. And you suddenly have what I think can be a competitive team. But with all that being said, there's holes on their roster, especially on defense. Their run defense gets gashed a lot. And the Giants are coming off back-to-back losses, however. Granted, those losses were against really good teams, but they're banged up again on offense. Shepard's been sidelined again. Wayne Gallman was inactive against the Patriots. And we don't know if Saquon Barkley's coming back in this game. And Daniel Jones had his rookie game against the Patriots, getting picked off 3 times. But he's playing a Cardinals defense that has been giving up a lot of big plays. This is a tough one to call for me. I should say that New York's defense has looked a lot better the past couple of games. They were absolutely putrid in the first 3 games of the season. They've looked a lot better since. And if they show up like that and they're able to contain Kyler Murray in this Cardinal offense, then I think they have a chance. However, I want to go with the Cardinals. I think they'll be riding some momentum. They're on the road, though, so that's a thing. But I think they'll be riding the momentum. I think they can win this game. Next up, we have the Chargers versus the Titans. I don't even want to talk about this one. These are 2 underachieving teams who are probably not making the playoffs at this point. And this starts the 4 o'clock games, too. Both teams have woefully underperformed expectations, especially the Chargers, who are expected to be a lot better than what they are right now. Phillip Rivers has been playing terribly the last couple of games, and they've been playing down to vastly inferior competition on a regular basis, and are losing to teams like the Steelers now. It's not good. It is DEFCON red for all 6 Chargers fans. And for Tennessee, they're starting Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Does that help them? I don't think so. It didn't help Miami, But although Miami did generate one playoff appearance with him as their signal caller, so maybe he turns this thing around. I don't know, but this is pretty much a toss-up, really, of who I think wins this game. I give the edge to Tennessee because I like their defense better. So for that reason alone, I'm going to pick them to win. But I'm not looking forward to watching this game. Okay, gotta keep going because the battery's on 1 bar now. So, Ravens Seahawks is coming up next, and this should be a good game. I'm less bullish on this Ravens team than I was earlier in the season. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet. They lost to a team with a losing record in the Browns, and some of the wins against inferior opponents, they just squeaked by in those. They got taken to overtime by a third-string undrafted rookie in the Steelers. They let Cincinnati back into the game last week. It is not looking good right now for the Ravens. I mean, they're going to win their division by default unless the Browns finally get it put back together and they start winning again. But other than that, barring that, they're winning their division easily. But the Seahawks are playing great. Russell Wilson is making a very strong case for MVP right now. DK Metcalf is playing like a beast. They're playing a Ravens defense that has been giving up a ton of big plays this season and has not looked very convincing in their last couple of games. I'm going with Seattle. Moving on quickly, we have the Saints and the Bears. 2 backup quarterbacks will be playing each other again in this game. Chase Daniels versus Teddy Bridgewater. It's hard not to look at this Saints team once again as a Super Bowl contender with the way they're playing with Bridgewater as quarterback. And once Drew Brees comes back, if they can hit the ground running when he gets healthy, that's it. This team is there. This team is absolutely there. The Bears, on the other hand, are coming off a tough loss overseas against the Raiders, a team they probably should have beat. And they're only 2 games behind the Packers in the division, but they're playing like the 3rd best team in that division right now. And kind of like the Lions, they're on the outside looking in right now of that race. They might make it in as a wild card, but I don't know. Quarterback play is key. And right now I'm trusting Teddy Bridgewater more than I'm trusting Chase Daniels. I'm picking the Saints to win this game, and I would absolutely love it if... I'm rooting for the Saints a little bit this season. I gotta admit, I would absolutely love it if after 2 back-to-back seasons of devastating playoff exits, they were able to overcome an injury to their quarterback and finally break through to get to the Super Bowl. I think that would be awesome, and I hope they get there. I really do. I hope they come out of the NFC as the Super Bowl team. I'm going with the Saints in this game. Two more left. Come on, battery. Don't fail me now. Eagles, Cowboys. This is going to be the Sunday night game. 2 3-3 teams. 2 teams coming off embarrassing losses. Philly got absolutely skulled by the Vikings, and the Cowboys just straight up look past the Jets, and the Jets made them pay. That was a bad game. The final score is misleading. It says it was a close game, but it was not. That was domination by the Jets for 3 quarters. So it's really a toss-up of which team can bounce back. I like the Cowboys a little bit more in this game because I think they have more talent on offense. Their receivers are still really good, and I think Dak Prescott still has some great games left in him. But Zeke Elliott hasn't been playing like the guy they paid that big contract to. Elliott, like I said, needs to get rolling again. And the Eagles are very banged up, especially on defense, who has vastly underperformed expectations to this point. I just think there's more upside with the Cowboys, so I'm going to go with them to win this game. And that brings us to the Monday night game. Hopefully my battery survives this. It's Patriots and Jets. Now, if you had told me 2 weeks ago that this was the Monday night game, I would have told you that the Patriots are going to win this thing like 52-10 or something like that, but I don't believe that anymore. Sam Darnold, make no mistake, looked really good against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are not a bad team. They've been struggling, but they're not a bad team. And Sam Darnold came in and made an absolute difference, and the Jets have a defense that I think can absolutely slow down the Patriots. The question is, though, can Sam Darnold figure out the riddle to the Patriots defense, and I don't really know. I mean, he's a second-year quarterback like Josh Allen, and we saw how that went for Josh Allen when he went up against the Patriots the first time. I don't know. It's a tough. I mean, I think the Patriots are going to win this game because that's just logical. I don't want them to, but I think they will. But this is no longer a game that you can just look past if you're Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I mean, the Cowboys totally looked past this team last week, and we saw what happened. So if the Patriots take this Jets team lightly now that Sam Darnold is back, they do so at their own peril. Because the Jets we've already seen the Jets make a pretty good team and the Cowboys pay for taking them lightly. And I could see the same thing happening for the Patriots. However, Belichick usually keeps his teams well prepared, and this Patriots defense is better, I think, than the Cowboys defense. So for that reason alone, I'm going with the Patriots. And that's all the games. I'm sorry if it felt like I was blowing through all these games, but like I said, I had to get these all done before my battery died, and I'm also just pretty crunched for time in general. I have a lot going on these next couple days, and I wanted to get this video shot before things started to really get crazy. But let me know in the comments what you think, who you think is going to win. Shout out to my dad again. Thank you for being on this show and having a conversation with me about the Bills. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully I can do that soon. Hopefully we can do that again. Hopefully I can get other guests on here too and we can talk about football. But that's going to be it from me today. I'm going to wrap this up before the battery dies. I'm Matt. I'm a Bills fan. Have a blessed week. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. And as always, I already said this, but as always, have a blessed week, and we'll see you in the next video. And of course, go Bills!